Hi everyone. If you are new here, welcome to my channel. Please like and subscribe and do all of those lovely things. If you are not new here, welcome back, friends and family. Today I'm doing some quite large earrings. I've got some large um, rectangular pendants. They are new. I got them from, again, Temu. Um, they actually match the jump rings that I've ordered earlier on, and I've used them in a couple of my videos. So as you can see here, I've got a small, medium and large jump rings in the middle of the large rectangular pendant. This was just a fly by the seat of my pants type of project. I really didn't know what I was doing, but I got the coloured UV resin from Temu and I wanted to try it out. I did do a couple of sample dots and they cure really, really well. So I was really impressed with how quick they cured under the UV light. And you'll see in just a moment after I've put the clear UV resin in, I start to swirl some of that coloured UV resin in. There was a couple of things that I probably would have done differently had I practiced a little bit more, but I'd like to be a little bit more transparent here on this channel and let you know when I make mistakes or if something doesn't work. I think, if it doesn't work, it's something that we can both learn from, we can learn together. The other thing I wanted to mention about these coloured UV resins, I know there's a lot of products out there. I just got these were fairly excuse me, they were fairly cheap, but and they're only 10 ml bottles. I have used them probably over the past couple of weeks, just with some small projects, and I've got to tell you that 10 ml goes a long way. It's very pigmented, so you don't need a lot of it. You can even add clear UV resin to make it sort of last a little bit longer because they're so pigmented. So as you can see here, I've just put a few colours into the clear UV resin and I'm just going to swirl it around, make a small pattern, try not to move my design too much, and then we will cure that off. The next thing I'll be doing is putting some gold foil into the top just to give it a little bit more bling, I think you can say. I actually really enjoyed this project simply because I didn't really have a plan in place. All I knew was that I wanted to use this pendant specifically, and it just went on from there. I didn't really have a plan of what I was going to do with the coloured UV resin, but as I sort of went along, I sort of wanted to make the resin the main event, so the coloured UV resin the main event, and I think I achieved that. And as we go along, you'll notice that I just put in some gold foil that it comes in bigger sheets than what you see here. I've sort of taken some time and pulled them apart, and I do put quite a lot on, and it just gives it just a little bit more sparkle, or a little bit more bling, if you want to put it that way. So after I've done this, I will cure that under the UV resin light for 120 seconds. And most of the time when you're doing the clear, I find anyway, when you do the clear UV resin, it doesn't take a long time to cure. It's once you start putting other elements into it that make it a little bit more difficult to cure, which is why you'll see after I've done the top, I take it off and flip it over and do the back as well. But you'll notice that I put a little bit more bling in the back as, with the glitter that I showed you earlier on. So this is going to be a very sparkly, blingy piece, and I think it sort of worked out really well. As I said before, it's going to be a very big statement piece when wearing it. So I'll let you just sit back and watch the process, and I will be back. Okay, so this is the time where I'm just going to pop in here and we can have a little chat to carry on from last week's video, and how I get through my grief being creative with art. Um, so from last week, I told you about the first 18 months were quite dark for me. And in that first 18 months, uh, it was a very dark time. But I started to realize that if my mind and my hands were busy, the day was a little easier. So I put YouTube on and I taught myself how to crochet. That was the very first thing I did. I think that was because I barricaded myself in my bedroom for so long at that point that I didn't want to move. So it was easier to teach myself how to do something like crochet in my bedroom than to, start with any type of resin projects. And it may have been that it would have been easier to get myself out of my bedroom and move into another room and do something in that way, but that's not what I did. And if it wasn't working in that time, so if I was, watching the TV or having that in the background for background noise, so that my mind, even when I wasn't concentrating on the crocheting, my mind was still busy with the TV, but my hands were still busy with the crocheting. That sort of worked for me. And if it wasn't working for me, I would just put it down, turn everything off, and go to sleep. That was what I did. That was my process, because essentially, I decided that if I couldn't do that day, I just wouldn't do it. I would go to sleep and hope that when I woke up the next day or a couple of hours later that I could do a little bit more. Most days I had to just do 1 hour at a time. Sometimes it was just minute by minute. So you have to be kind to yourself. And I think I had to learn to be kind to myself as I went along. It wasn't something that I knew how to do. All of this was new, and for a lot of people it is new. And that's why I sort of wanted to sort of touch on the subject each week, just to give you a glimpse into the life of somebody who's going through that tremendous amount of grief. So back to the project, and as you can see, I'm just putting some glitter on the back of these pendants of the design we just made, just to enhance what we did on the front. Also, as you can see, I am avoiding those middle jump rings where I put the coloured UV resin in. There's nothing else but the coloured UV resin in there, because they've got their own type of sparkle, and I just wanted to make sure that they could shine through. It is a bit of a busy earring, but beautiful all the same. Very shiny and very sparkly. And so now we're going to put the earring together. Very, very simple, just a normal jump ring with a faux diamond stud. And then that completes the project. I find that sometimes when you just start a project, just sit down and just go, I'm not sure what I want to do today. I'll just start and see where it takes me. Some of those projects are sometimes the best, and uh, and it goes without saying that sometimes when we plan things, they don't always go to plan, and you have to change your plan. So if you go in sometimes when you're not feeling all that creative on that day, sometimes you can come out with some of the best pieces that you've done. Now, what I would change about these earrings, I probably wouldn't have put the coloured UV resin into the jump rings while the top coat over the foil. So I put a clear coat over the foil, and I put the coloured UV resin into the jump rings at the same time while that clear UV resin was wet still and uncured. The reason why that is that the coloured UV resin started to bleed over the jump rings, which I had to clean up a little bit. So if I had to go back, I probably would have cured off the clear UV resin. So this is the end project. I think it came out really pretty and glittery. And also we have come to the end of the video. So I wanted to say, if you're still here, thank you so much for sticking with me right till the end. I appreciate you and I love you all. And hopefully we can keep going with this little community. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me in the comments below. And until next week, bye for now.